Hello there, everyone. It's Hunt back with another episode of Tabletop Recap. Still stuck inside because we're quarantined on this fine evening, but I still want to keep the podcast going if possible. So if you have any tabletop gaming stories, whether it be RPGs or even Monopoly or just something simple like that, please share them with us on b3podcasts@gmail.com. That is B, the number 3, PODCASTS @gmail.com. But yeah, we do have some stories here today. This is all I have. Some people redacted their stories. They were like, actually, we don't want that told. And I was like, okay, fine. So I'm not going to tell those stories. But these are from Reddit, actually. So Mega Man's pet cat said that they rolled to whip Nene the space worm and cringe it to death. Guess what they rolled? Nat 20. Of course. What else would they roll for that? Am I right or am I right, I suppose? Griffidufos said, a mouse was beating an enemy with a flaming door or launching an owlbear into the stratosphere and trying to calculate terminal velocity and if it would die. It did, many times over. Gosh, I wish these were fleshed out stories so I knew exactly what happened. You're just telling me the most interesting part and I don't know what's going on. And Wafer says, there was a bounty put on one of my characters for threatening to break street thugs' knees. Less of a story and more of a small window into the craziness of our party. That's not super crazy, though. Not at all. You threatened to break someone's knees, and then you got in legal trouble for it. That's not that crazy. That could happen in real life. Into the craziness of our... I'm not trying to insult them. I'm just saying. But yeah, that's what the Reddit stories I had left. Now we're going to talk about just a little one-shot D&D I just played based on the movie Velocipaster, kind of a Wolf Cop-esque movie. And this was kind of a beta test because I just had a rough draft. So this was sort of a beta test of the game. And once we do the full campaign, that's a final draft. We'll also talk about it on here with my regular group playing it. So Big Boy Chungus played it as well as my boy Steven. I used to make lots of YouTube videos with Steven all the time. And we decided to get together, play some D&D over Discord since we're all quarantined. But Graybill played... as he played as a barbarian yet again, but this one was a bit more sociable, a bit more sane. And I'm thinking of a wrong person. Steven played as Spork, the Goblin Rogue, or as we came to call him, Spork the Cuckold Goblin. Because he had a weird backstory involving being cucked. And he's real meek. And nothing goes his way. And it's really funny. But he paired so well with this big barbarian. Whose name was Bork. Which was an accident. Like, they didn't even try to rhyme their names. That just happened accidentally when they both put their names in the chat. Spork and Bork. That's just how they ended up. Which I thought was really funny. So I'm actually going to make them NPCs because I really liked how they worked together character-wise. But they were known adventurers walking in town, and we started this campaign assuming that they had already played Saria the Lost World. We already talked about Saria the Lost World in a previous episode, or at least the beta test of Saria the Lost World. So we assumed that they'd already played Saria the Lost World. And they went and they heard a commotion in the temple. They went in, and this priest in black was kind of harassing all the other people there, like, oh, you worship the wrong god, and this is the temple of Ornitha, bird goddess of generosity. And he was like, you worship the wrong god. Screw you guys. I'm going to be one of those people. So they basically run him out of the temple, and then they hear a scream, and a woman was brutally killed, seemingly by an animal, in the alleyway between the shipping company and the church. So they follow these clues, and it seems like the priest did in fact do it, follow the clues into the shipping company, where Spork the Goblin tried to pretend to be like an inspector to get information, and he rolled really low, and everyone was like, "You're not an inspector, get out of here, goblin trash." And then the barbarian just went up and truthfully asked, "Hey, did a priest come through here? He's a suspect in a murder." And then the shipping guy was like, "Yeah, he just got passage on our ship, so you can take another ship out there," which they did. So then they had to get back to Sauria, the Lost World. So they went to Sauria on the same ship they went on in the first campaign, which kind of has a gay slur in the title. You can probably guess. But I'm bi, so, when I say that word, it's fine. No one cares. But Stephen was really uncomfortable, because obviously he made him really uncomfortable, so we kept trying to get him to say it within the story. We were just screwing with each other. But yeah, so they get on their ship. They actually talk them down from 10 gold to get on to 5 gold to get on. And then, but the barbarian will do labor for the voyage, so they got them down to that. They got to Sauria, and then they went to speak to the elders. If you listened to our podcast where we talk about Sauria, the Lost World, the elders are still there, same elders, and they do recognize them as the heroes that saved their islands from the automatons. And they were like, "Oh, heroes, welcome back, what do you need?" And they were like, "Oh, do you know this priest? He's a suspect in a murder." And I don't know why they didn't just ask who he might have been when they were at the Temple of Ornitha, because here we find out that he was actually a missionary from the Temple of Ornitha that came to Sauria to convert them, but they didn't really listen to him. And he disappeared, and suddenly he was all about Predoria, the goddess of the hunt, when he reappeared. And then he was kind of harassing people about that. And then they told them about Predoria. She was the goddess of the hunt, and she kind of started asking a little too much of her subjects. Everyone on the island worshipped her. And then eventually she was like, "You all need to hunt each other to gain my favor." And they were like, "No, we're not going to hunt each other." So they stopped praying to her. And in my kind of homebrew universe, gods don't have power if you don't pray to them. If you don't pray to them, they just lose their power. Kind of like a Ray Harryhausen Clash of the Titans kind of thing. So she lost most of her power because no one was praying to her. But then they have to find a guide to take them to the lost Temple of Ornitha. And guess who they got? Bone-Tooth Scaleskin. That's right, the same guide from last time, except he didn't have a permanently wrecked arm because the last one wasn't exactly continuity. In this one, they were meeting him for the first time. So they paid him 2 javelins and 15 gold pieces, because now the island accepts gold, because they're starting to trade with the mainland, so they have to. So they're converting to gold. And he was like, "How much gold you got, mate?" So the goblin gave him literally every cent he had. But then he remembered, oh, we got a gold statue from the priestess at the temple for helping them out, which is worth like 200 gold, so he'll be fine. And he just kept talking about how sad his life was. And apparently this was a character Steven had run before. It's just the goblin rogue who gets cucked. And he apparently lives in this dinky little apartment that's completely overrun with lizards. Like, it's full of lizards. Everyone in the apartment really likes the landlord and has a nice spot and no lizards, and his place is just a dump and filled with lizards, and they bite him at night. So they get Bone-Tooth to help them. He takes them out into the woods, eventually gets them to the temple, but they're being stalked the whole time. And when they arrive at the temple, they're surrounded by velociraptors. And then the villain comes out, the priest, and he's ready to do his monologue. And he's like, "Oh, these raptors saved me when I was lost in the woods. They're my family. They brought me here where this true goddess, Pretoria, she saved me and made me her champion." And while he was monologuing, they attacked him, of course, because this is D&D. And they got an opportunity to attack in on him. And then they fought the raptors with Bone-Tooth. And they crit rolled twice, and the barbarian hit Bone-Tooth twice with his axe. And we had this joke. It was like, you destroyed his liver. He's turning green as you fight. He's already green. He's turning yellow as you fight because his liver doesn't work. But that was really cool. And then Bonetooth did die in this campaign. He was killed. He was killed by the freaking barbarian with a crit roll. Because he's who was next to the barbarian. And then they fought the Velocipaster, and he was a little easier than I expected him to be. But once again, this was a beta test. And I just rolled crap the whole time. Because the Velociraptors had pack tactics and multi-attack, and they kept rolling garbage. And then the Velocipaster, because he was aware of Velociraptor. So after they beat the Velociraptors, then he transformed into a Were-Velociraptor, and they fought. And he also rolled garbage, because he rolled a nat 20 on initiative. And usually if you roll a nat 20 on initiative, I give you a bonus action. So he attacked 3 times, each of them once, and not one hit. Like, I think it might be my dice app. Like, it's not, something about it isn't balanced or something, because I don't have physical dice, because when I play physically with my friends, Karen and Kami are dice dragons, or dice goblins, whatever your specific group calls it, where they just have a ton of dice, so why do I need to buy any? But I actually did get a pair. I got the Rick and Morty dice, and they're coming in the mail. They'll be here soon. A little over a week from when I'm recording this. They'll be here. But, I just... So we're going to do that. And so he shows off his raptor form, they fight him, and they beat him just really easily. So I'm thinking of giving him this ability where he can like do a battle cry once he's half HP or lower and call more Velociraptors into the battle. Because I was playing this with 2 people. And I'll be playing it with 3 people when it's finalized. So I really need to make it tougher. I need to make it tougher. But that's it. So in the temple that was wrecked, there was this big, like, Velociraptor statue the size of a chicken made of gold. So they didn't get paid, really, but they got 2 golden statues that they can sell off, which is really neat. And, of course, they'll be praised as heroes. But, yeah, so Bork and Spork are definitely going to be NPCs in an upcoming campaign. I just got to find a way to work them in organically. But also, I don't really want them to have to fight. Maybe there can be some kind of adventurers club that they meet them in. That would be really cool. An adventurers club. That's a good idea. So yeah, that's it for today's episode. I know they've been shorter recently, but I don't have anything to talk about because I can't game with my friends. But if you sent us stories on b3podcasts@gmail.com, that would really help. So submit your stories to b3podcasts@gmail.com. That is B3 PODCASTS@gmail.com. And maybe you'll hear them on the show. So that's it. Thank you all once again for your support. And I'll see you all next time when fate knocks at your door. Yeah, and hopefully we'll finish that campaign soon as well.